And someone who we can welcome to the first time here at our church, is Miss Lexie Hall. Folks, can you just welcome Lexie?
It wasn't just another interview. It was personal, unfiltered, and full of unexpected fire. I'm so glad you're here, and I know you're at the center of a lot of our community pride. We're loving what's happening in the Fever in terms of success and just excitement around the city after a breakout season with the Indiana Fever and a championship run in Miami with the Roses. Lexie Hall just dropped some truth, and she did it from a place you'd never expect. A local church in Indiana sitting down for what turned into one of the most honest conversations of her career. What did Lexie Hall reveal about the Indiana Fever, and why is her mindset drawing attention before the new season even tips off to stick around? Because she didn't hold back. This time it's not just about basketball. I think the Pacers are a great experience. I think the Fever are currently a better team. Lexie returned to Indianapolis with a story to tell about pressure, patience, and the truth behind life as a rising star in the WNBA. There were no scripted answers or media gloss, just Lexie front and center, telling everything aloud that most athletes only think in private. Experience, and anyone who has ever gone to a Fever game and said, man, that's great basketball. And I think what you girls are doing is great. And shout out to the Pacers. I know some of you are in the room working here thinking, hey, that's my team. The atmosphere was electric before Lexie Hall even spoke. And it didn't take long for the audience to realize that this wasn't your typical Sunday guest. Then came the praise that Lexie, through her play and her presence, had become a focal point of community pride about the journey from Spokane, Washington to stand for the national championship, and then being drafted by the Fever along with Caitlin Clark. And now it's like all of a sudden you go from being a regular girl who is passionately pursuing her dream to now being famous. And most of my interactions going forward, but it wasn't all serious. Pastor CJ couldn't help but make light of Lex's rising fame. Lexie smiled shyly, but obviously enjoying the moment. But the truth was clear. Lexie Hall has arrived in Indiana, or I would say in the Hoover State. The banter had everyone laughing, but underneath it all was a deeper respect. This wasn't just about fame or highlight reels. It was about how Lex's story, her work ethic, and her heart had captured a city's attention, and it set the perfect tone for everything she was about to share. Tell me just what has changed. Hey, girl, you're famous, folks. Is that fair? Like, you are going to have to hide for someone in this state, not to be like, hey, Lexie Hall's right there. It's been amazing, and I believe the first thing I noticed when I moved to Indiana 3.5 years ago after being drafted in 2022 was how welcoming the community is to me and the Indiana Fever. And we're really thankful to be here. As I've been here for 3 years, I mean, it's just amazing to see the growth and the growth of our team's support over the course of the few years. And watching this video makes me so excited to be back in Cambridge this season, which is quickly approaching. It wasn't just a change of career, it was a leap into the unknown. Drafted in 2022, she landed in a new city far from home and felt welcome. As the seasons progressed, that connection only grew stronger. It makes me so excited to be back in Cambridge, she added, and she was already eager for the new season. So talk to me just about how would you summarize some of that journey? It's been a journey, and I think that's a really just perfect word for it. Coming here was the first time I'd be away from family and play basketball without my twin sister, so that was a transition in and of itself. Then my rookie year, we won 5 games and lost more than I'd ever played in my life. So you add in being alone. Yes, it was really difficult, but getting to this point was anything but simple. Lexie called it that. It was a journey from 4 incredible years at Stanford where she won a national championship and participated in every game. Everything changed when she and her twin sister entered the professional ranks without family support. Her first season with the Fever was difficult. We won 5 games, she said bluntly. But there were more losses than she had ever experienced in her life, combined with 2 head coaches who were constantly on the move and lacked rhythm. She briefly lost the joy that we all now know and love about her playing in different places, and the entire year was just like, what am I doing? This is not that fun now compared to last year. The growth of it is insane, and I wouldn't have expected it. It's so awesome because playing in sold-out arenas across the nation and seeing people with my number on their chest has been such a journey, and I'm just incredibly thankful for the opportunity. However, she didn't run away from it. Instead, she grew through it. Fast forward to 2024, when Lexie Hall's story completely changed. Her name appeared on fans' jerseys. She played in playoff basketball, had a breakout season with Indiana, and of course, a rookie named Caitlin Clark became her best friend, which changed everything. She didn't just get by, she owned it, she said. Anyone who picked Stanford to win the girls' tournament in 2019, I didn't, but someone in our household did, and that someone was my wife, Kristen. I love you, Kristen. The funny thing about it is that, as many of you are aware, my wife is from Iowa, played collegiate basketball, and comes from a family of athletes, including several Hawkeyes. So the fact that she chose Stanford over Iowa when Caitlin was playing for Iowa, and her side of the family was like, blasphemy. Lexie Hall's ascent to fame garnered her not only respect, but also admiration in unexpected places. From young athletes now looking up to her as a role model, to families who once supported her, her influence was so great that even the pastor's wife, a proud Iowa native, once supported Stanford because of Lexie and her sister. That's the kind of influence she's carrying now, inspiring the next generation and transforming admiration into legacy. Our children asked, how are you going to pick Stanford over? It was because, one, she liked you and your sister, and Kristen is a trash talker. Don't judge her for this, but sometimes when you're talking trash during competitions, she says things like, one day we're watching one of your games and you guys do something, and she's like, bam, pretty girls can hoop too. I thought that was great. And it was her bias at first, but now it's funny because our daughter Riley, who we were talking about, looks up to you. Play like Lexie Hall, aren't you? Behind the highlights and the hype, Lexie Hall's journey hasn't been easy. As her fame grew, so did the pressure from fans and critics, and most painfully, from within that early belief that we're all taught to work hard and the results will come, starts to waver. When you hit the pros, however, you realize that progress isn't linear and results aren't instantaneous. And that's where Lexis's most important and hardest lesson has been: patience isn't a weakness, it's power. Talk to me about managing pressure, because it's a big part of the game. When you're playing early on, you can say that your work ethic will get you everything you want. And there's a lot of truth to that, but when you reach this level, mental toughness is an even bigger piece. What most people don't realize is how quickly the game shifts off the court. One quiet night, one missed shot, and the weight of expectations can feel oppressive because feedback is brutal and instantaneous. Every performance is live on the internet, and every moment is replayed. However, Lexis has discovered that not every season is about success. Instead, some seasons are about roots growing steadily and quietly underground without any applause. And that growth takes time because people from all over the world are commenting on your successes and failures, and whether you belong or not. For this reason, I believe you have to believe that you are enough, that you are loved, and that everything you do is not defined by your sport. One thing you learn when you start this job is that the season will be up and down, but you just need to stay strong and have patience throughout the process and journey. As a rookie, you just want to go in and do really well, but it's not that easy, and there's a big jump in the level of play and the level of the game. I believe you just need to keep working hard, and eventually you'll realize that everything works out exactly as it should. Because Lexie is learning to trust that process rather than hurrying it, she is filtering out the noise and listening to the voices that uplift her rather than depress her. She now chooses who has access to her life, and thanks to this clarity, she has found room to breathe, grow, stumble, and rise again without needing immediate validation. Additionally, the fact that you live under constant scrutiny and receive unfiltered feedback and commentary is another factor. How is she managing everything with grace and grit? We've really accelerated in some areas in terms of culture. So for most of us, we will never experience that kind of pressure. Yes, I think it's really difficult because we're already our worst critics, and then you go online and a lot of times people are almost as mean. And it's crazy because all you can do is try to put out the best product that we can, and sometimes it's tough. Lexie isn't just showing up to play. She's showing up to grow, even when no one is watching, and her quiet strength and willingness to wait for the right moment instead of forcing one of her greatest move, not as good as you expect. So I believe that just giving everyone grace. I mean, we're doing our best, and sometimes you're gonna love it, and we'll hear it, and sometimes we don't, and maybe we don't need to hear it. There's a piece that's there amid all the noise and pressure. Lexie Hall shared one piece of advice that struck different. Only take opinions from people you'd actually take advice from. It may seem simple, but in a world where everyone wants a vote in your life, it's revolutionary. Protects her focus from overload rather than arrogance, because you can't let every random critic change your blueprint when you're building something real. I believe you learn the crucial importance of giving the right weight to the right words when you realize that most of the words you hear are meaningless, superficial ones. That's not to say you have a cynical view of people. It's just to say that trust is a real necessity in my life. Who are the people I'm going to grant access to? I'm going to give the authority to say, no, you can. It's difficult, but try not to listen, read, or assume that they mean anything, because they really don't. If they were giving me good advice, you wouldn't care what they have to say. Coach me, correct me, speak, and because you still need that as someone who's going to pursue elite goals. It's like, okay, how do you safeguard unhealthy pressure, but then how do you facilitate a productive pressure? I once received advice that I believe is really important, and it was to only take opinions from people you would take advice from. This year's blueprint for Lexie is all about being rooted in patience but powered by trust. She's not asking for guarantees, just space to grow without forcing results. That kind of mindset isn't just helpful, it's rare, especially when expectations are high, the roster is stacked, and the spotlight is only getting hotter. However, instead of chasing the moment, Lexie is letting it come to her. Clearly, you can't be where you are if you're not a principled person. It takes a lot of dedication to say, all right, I'm pursuing a measure of excellence. That sounds pretty intimidating, but you know what would be the driving principle for you in this season? It's like, this is the mindset I'm trying to develop in this season, and I believe that simply being patient is something that's been something I've really tried to get better at throughout my career. You can always get better at it because you want something right now, you want something in the moment, and at the core of it all is a deeper truth. The right things happen. For Lexie Hall, success isn't about speed, but about alignment, and she's never been more engaged. Sometimes it's not about the time and trusting in the work that I'm putting in, trusting in the process and the journey of this career, of this season. And in this season of the fever, I'm doing exactly what I can in the moment, but not pushing the boundaries and not expecting certain things to happen now. That's not just something she says, it's something she believes. This season, she's doubling down on her work, staying prepared, and letting the results unfold when they're meant to. Lexie Hall didn't just share her journey, she shared her truth. From navigating early struggles to finding strength and patience, from blocking out the noise to trusting her own voice. She's showing us what it really looks like to evolve, not just as an athlete, but as a human being. And in doing so, she's becoming something even more powerful than a breakout star. I firmly believe that because the right things will happen at the right time. You have a ton of fans and a ton of support, and we're rooting for you, and we believe in you, girls. Handle pressure, purpose, and growth in the spotlight. It's hilarious because we discussed in the back that when you gain more influence, your role in the community simply changes. It's normal for the average person to show up to church for the first time, but when you're Lexie Hall, you can't because, well, I'm not famous. I'm telling you that, girl. If you had just shown up without warning, you would have ruined the entire experience. There are some idols in this room, and we are some fans, myself included. We're grateful that you're here and that you're rooting for us. It was funny to hear that you moved into the community and that you're going to come check us out at church. Welcome to Northwest, folks. We're glad you're here. One more time, please give it up for Lexie. If you're rooting for the Indiana Fever this season, don't just watch the highlights. Instead, watch the backstory because Lexie Hall is creating something unique and the best. She's just getting started. So if this inspired you, hit the subscribe button. Leave a comment with your favorite part of Lex's adventure, and we'll be right here to chronicle it. Turn on all alerts and click the video screen, and we'll talk to you in the next